Let's give all praises to the Most High, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh, and the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in the ancient Hebrew is the Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS who taught us this truth by the Holy Spirit. Honors to the brothers risking their life and freedom to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the elect, who would be the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel according to scripture and prophecy. The elect would be 1/3 of the Israelites who in the last days will return back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai for salvation, while the 2/3 of Israel who don't turn back to the Most High in time be destroyed with America. We back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. This lesson is going to be part 1, and it's going to be titled Enemy Number 1 and 2. Esau the serpent and Eve the so-called black woman. Enemies number 1 and 2. Esau, who is the so-called white man today, and also the serpent, way back from Genesis, the 3rd chapter, and Eve, the so-called black woman. You, as an Israelite man, and even the women that's in this truth, our main enemies would be, first and foremost, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. That's a given. Hey, but our second worst enemy is the so-called black woman. And not just the so-called black woman, but the women of the 12 tribes in general. But especially the so-called black woman, and we're going to show why. And brothers, we've been knowing that the so-called black woman is our enemy. We've been knowing that. We've been saying it. But now we got proof. And that's the beautiful thing about the internet. The Lord is letting everybody expose themselves. And the scriptures already told us, that the women of our nation would be our enemy. But now you can hear it come out of their own mouths and see what they say. But we're going to start here, Micah 7:10. That she that is my enemy shall see it. So the me, the mine, this is from the perspective of Micah, which represents the Israelite man, not only back then, but today. But Micah says, she that is my enemy. So who would be the enemy to the Israelite man here in the last days? So-called black woman. But the women of the 12 tribes in general, but especially the so-called black woman. She that is my enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her. Women beginning to come into that shame, but it's going to be a lot worse. Which said unto me, where is Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai thy God? My eyes shall behold her. Now shall she be trodden down as the mire of the streets. So women, being the enemy to the Israelite man, their day is coming. And then everybody who's the enemy to the elect, man or woman, their day is coming. But the Lord got a special case against you Israelite women. Now, we're going to show the video showing she that is my enemy is a so-called black woman, mostly. But the women of the 12 tribes in general, but especially the so-called black woman. Now, check out this video. You see the title, Must See, the most horrible video on YouTube. Black women are conspiring against, let me see. Black women are conspiring against black men. And this has always happened since the beginning of time, but we're going to show it after this video. And a couple points we're going to prove. So-called black woman is our enemy. Enemy to the so-called black, Hispanic, Native American man. The Israelite man. And also proving that men have it harder in this society. That's why Isaiah 32 opens up in verse 9 through 11, saying, you women who are at ease. Women feel like they got it harder, but they really don't, because the man has always been a target. The man has always been a target, and that's been since the beginning of time. And we're gonna show all of this through the scriptures. So check out this video.
And it just really saddened my heart deeply, for real, for real. You know, it's one thing to have a difference of opinion or a different mindset, or just you don't a difference of um, understanding a group of people. Like women may not understand men, and men may not understand women. But to literally have a bunch of women who are conspiring against black men for real, that they don't want them here. They're trying to find ways to eliminate you. It's just crazy as hell to me.
And the so-called black woman has always conspired against us, trying to eliminate us. But let's continue. God damn it, bro. Esau, bitch. But yeah, let's get on with the video.
This is worse than I ever thought it would be. Shout out to Shaz Sharday. This video was posted on her channel, and it was sent to me via Instagram. Shout out to Pharaoh. This took me out, y'all. I understand why men are moving away. They're moving for real. This is insane to me. I have sons, and I would never want them to have to deal with women who think this way. And I know this is not all women, but my God, this is what it's come to, y'all. Please chime in. I want to hear your thoughts on this. What's your thoughts on this? Please chime in. Black men, y'all got to listen to this. But I'm going to stop talking. Let's get into the video. Here we go.
Perception, because like the goal of this conversation should be to like progress, right? Unless you're ladies that you don't want to fucking deal with men at all, then we should talk.
If we don't want to deal with black men at all,
with all men and not black men, just not black men.
Well, is there any women that you?
She said she don't want to deal with black men at all. She's not talking about all men. They said they're just talking about so-called black men.
Will deal with men, period, or is it just black men, or is it a mixture?
It's just black men, and we actually want non-black men's help in this corrections that you speak of.
So-called black woman, the Eve, she said she want the help of non-black men for this correction. And let's see what this correction is.
So what are the corrections that you're looking for specifically?
Force.
She said force. She want non-black men to help correct black men by force. And by that she means use of deadly force, like what the police always do to us.
That's the only thing that's gonna work.
But I mean, what are you looking for black men to arrive at? A place of understanding of like what do you want to see?
Well, we believe that there is no hope for them. That we don't believe in changing their minds. We don't. But I'm trying not to say what I really want to say because you're on stage. But
so Esau the white man said, what are you seeking for? Are you seeking, understanding? He's trying to understand what is the black woman really asking of him. And so-called black woman said, the black man won't change. There's no hope for him. And she said what she really want to say, she can't say. So watch what it is that she wants to say.
If they could not exist, hey, we wouldn't be mad at.
If they could not exist, you wouldn't be mad at that.
So she said, if we could not exist. So she wants to help. When they say non-black man, they're talking about the white man. They're not going to go to the Chinese man for help, the Japanese, the Arab, the African man. She wants to help from white man to correct us by force, the use of deadly force to take us out of existence. Hey, that's evil. So-called black woman has pretty much surpassed the so-called white man in his wickedness and his hatred toward the black man. Esau the white man, he don't mind having a so-called black man around as long as the black man is beneath him, in slavery, whatever form. But the black woman, um, they want the so-called black man to be eradicated, to be wiped from existence. Now, we're going to play this all the way through without me stopping.
If we don't want to deal with black men at all,
conversation should be to like progress, right? Unless you're ladies that you don't want to fucking deal with that at all, then we should talk
if
about
we don't
that.
want to deal with black men at all,
I would all men and not black men. Just not black men.
Well, is there any women here who don't want to deal with men, period, or is it just black men, or is it a mixture?
it's just black men, and we actually want non-black men's help in this corrections that you speak of.
So what are the corrections that you're looking for specifically?
Force, because that's the only thing that's gonna work.
But I mean, what are you looking for black men to arrive at? A place of understanding of like what do you want to see?
Well,
We believe that there is no hope for them. That we don't believe in changing their minds. We don't. But I'm trying not to say what I really want to say because you're on stage. But
Damn it, bro. We're going to take it back just a little bit since Esau trying to throw off the spirit.
there is no hope for them. That we don't believe in changing their minds. We don't. But I'm trying not to say what I really want to say because you're on stage. But if they could not exist, hey, we wouldn't be mad at.
If they could not exist, you wouldn't be mad at that.
Oh my God!
Now, this sounds like black women, and it sounds like they're consorting with a white man.
That's exactly what it is. That's Eve and the serpent. Going all the way back to the Garden of Eden. Now, we're going to get a little bit more of this video.
Black women talking to a white man about their hatred for their own men. And they really think that this is going to go in their favor.
She got a good point. Hey, it's not going to go in the favor of you so-called black women trying to work with Esau the white man, who is a serpent, and eliminating the black man. Who do you think Esau's going to go after next if the black man was out the picture? Well, we're going to show you according to the scriptures.
I don't think they realize what's happening. This is insane to me, y'all. I swear this is insane. That you have black women consorting with white men about white men doing something to put black men in their place and control them or shut them down.
And she using soft language. It's not about controlling us or shutting us down. It's about deleting us, murdering us, killing us. She said if we didn't exist. She said by the use of force, deadly force.
That's what I'm hearing. You're conspiring with white men to try to do something about the behavior of black men.
Then she that is my enemy shall see it. Now we've identified the enemy. Well, the Lord has already identified, our enemies in the last days. The enemies of the elect of Israel and the enemies of the Israelite man. So now we know who this is all about. She that is my enemy, so-called black woman, the women of our own nation. And nobody's thoughts are original. She ain't the only one that feel like that. But let's jump around in this video a little more, then we're going to get into the scriptures.
Each other. They're saying, these particular women are saying they don't want to. They're done. This is crazy because these are the same women who don't want any accountability themselves. You want anybody to hold you accountable for your actions, but you want white men to hold black men accountable for what?
See that? So, yeah. Again, Micah 7:10, she that is my enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her. Which said unto me, Where is Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shaddai God? My eyes shall behold her. Now she shall be trodden down as the mire of the streets. So yeah, and the so-called black woman Eve, she has always conspired with the serpent, which the serpent wasn't a literal snake; it was a man. And who would that man be today? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. The snake represents him being a liar, being cunning, being deceitful. It's a metaphor. But we're gonna show Eve conspiring with the serpent in the book of Genesis. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. Subtle meaning cunning, deceptive, crafty. The serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai had made, and he said unto the woman, so-called black woman, Eve, yeah, have God said you should not eat of every tree of the garden. And this is not a literal tree and literal fruit. It's philosophies and lifestyles and belief systems. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High have said, you should not eat of it, neither touch it, lest ye die. And again, not a literal fruit. Goes on to say, and the serpent said unto the woman, you should not surely die. Now, if you look at this, it looks like the serpent is targeting the woman. Women feel like they're the target of all of the evils in the world today. But the truth is, you women are not the target and has never been a target. Even here, the woman is not the target. The ultimate goal is to bring down Adam. And how does that translate today? Well, the goal is to bring down an Israelite man, so-called Negro, Latino, Native American man. But first and foremost, beginning with the so-called black man, mainly being the tribe of Judah, which is the lead tribe, who will wake up the other tribes here in the last days, which is happening now. So that's why the black man has always been targeted more severely than the other tribes. The serpent said to the woman, you shall not surely die. Now we're going to show that Adam was the target, just as the so-called black man is the target today. For the Most High doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil, letting you know it's not literal fruit. That is philosophies, doctrines, lifestyles, belief systems. Goes on to say, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, luxury lifestyles, living like the other nations, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat. So she ate first. She fell for the bait first. And then what happened? And gave also unto her husband. That's exactly what the serpent wanted to happen. Because the woman is gullible. She can be deceived easily, but not the man. Adam would have told the serpent, get the hell out of here. But you see, for the serpent to get to Adam, he went through the woman. And how does that play out today? So-called white man who is a serpent, to target the black man, he'll go through the woman. Kick him out of the house, you'll get Section 8 and food stamps. Bring them to court. When y'all have children, you throw them on child support, etc., etc. But again, she took of the fruit and did eat. She gave also unto her husband, and he did eat. And the eyes of both of them were open, and they knew that they were naked, meaning exposed. They got caught, disobeying the Lord. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves apron. Now we're going to show that Adam was the target all along. Because, when Eve ate, the Lord could have came after Eve ate of the fruit. But no, the Lord came after Adam took part in eating that fruit. He came after Adam took part. And they heard the voice of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves in the presence of the Most High amongst the trees of the garden. And the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai called unto Adam. See that? The Lord called unto Adam. He didn't call unto Eve and said unto him, where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. See, the Lord is dealing with Adam. See, when a woman messed up, the Lord expected nothing less than a woman to mess up. And he said, who told thee that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? See that? But the Lord called out unto Adam because Eve ate first and then gave to her husband. The Lord could have intervened after Eve ate of the fruit, which is a metaphor. But no, he waited till Adam ate of the fruit, proving that Adam was the target all along by the serpent. Translated today, that a so-called, black man, the Israelite man in general, is the main target by the so-called white man in his system today. Now we're gonna go here to the book of Mark, chapter 3, verse 27, very straight to the point. The words of Yahweh Shah. No man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he will first bind a strong man, then he will spoil his house. See that? Yahweh Shah is pretty much giving you a life lesson. Whether it's a house, whether it's a country, whether it's a nation of people, you first gotta bind the strong man. You gotta get the man out the way. Again, whether it's a house, you gotta bind up the husband, the father. Hey, whether it's a country, you gotta bind up the mighty men of war, which is the first line of defense, or rather it's a whole nation. You gotta weaken and destroy the man. And then it said what? And then he will spoil his house, or spoil your country, or spoil you as a nation of people. But the man is always the target. You know, showing that the man is the target. Now we're gonna go here. After you bind a strong man, after you get the man out of the picture, what's gonna happen to the women and children? This is the book of First Maccabees 3, verse 20, very straight to the point. They come up against us. Who is this us? This is talking about the Israelite man. They come up against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us, to destroy the Israelite man first. It says what? And that means also. That means plus. They come up against much. They come much. Excuse me. They come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us, the Israelite man. That's them binding a strong man so that what? You can spoil his house. They come up against us in much pride to destroy us and our wives and children and to spoil us. See, destroying the wives and the children and spoiling the house, spoiling the people, that comes after you destroy the man. That's why I said they come up against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us. After the man is out of the way, the women and children, the house, the country, the nation of people, they done for. Says what? Verse 21, but we fight for our lives and our laws. The black man has always fought, you know, for his women. Although we could never see eye to eye. But while you fighting for your women is conspiring against you to get you deleted from the face of the earth. And this division between man and woman, this gender war, is only going to get deeper and intensify during these times of Jacob's trouble. But yeah, because this woman said, what did she say? That this is not going to turn out good for the so-called black woman, trying to get your man eliminated. Because after the man is out the way, you bind a strong man first, then he will spoil his house. A woman and children is over for. And this actually going to happen according to prophecy. A woman going to get spoiled and ravished. And that's in the scriptures. Matter of fact, I might can pull that up real quick. Maybe not. Yeah, for behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil should be delivered. divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. The city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. Half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Why would the women be ravished? Because when you read Second Ezra, I believe it's the 16th chapter, hey, the women and the bride, they're gonna mourn having no husbands. Because the men, they're gonna die in a famine and die in battle. Whether it's World War III abroad or civil wars here in America. Or they're gonna die trying to protect you women and children. Now, let's jump here. There's something I want to make mention of, but let's backtrack to the book of Micah 7 and 10 again. She that is my enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her. So now we've identified the enemy. The Lord has already identified her, with the scriptures, but we heard it out of her own mouth. And something I want to make mention of, when you read Genesis 3 and 1. Let's read that again. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai had made. And he said unto the woman, yeah, have God said you should not eat of every tree of the garden. So we proved that the overall target was Adam. We proved that. But you see who approached who. It said the serpent, and he said unto the woman. So the serpent approached the woman to bring down Adam. Well, what do you got going on these days? Well, hey, the roles have reversed. Now you got the woman approaching the serpent to bring down Adam, the so-called black man, the Israelite man today. Again, Genesis 3, the serpent approached the woman. But now you got the women approaching the serpent. Women seeking help from the so-called white man, Esau, the serpent, to bring Adam down, to bring the so-called black man down all over again. And that's soft language, not to bring us down, but to wipe us out of existence. So that's why the scripture say, she that is my enemy. Eve, the so-called black woman, is actively trying to find a way to wipe us off the face of the earth. And I'm going to get this in the book of Isaiah 28:15, very straight to the point. Because you have said, we have made a covenant with death. What's another word for covenant? Joining forces, a deal, a contract. Whose death? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. So everybody who made a deal or a contract or some kind of agreement with the white man in this system. Because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. Hell is America. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us. That's why she says it's not going to turn out good for you, so-called black woman. You're trying to wipe the so-called black man off the face of the earth. Well, you're going to have nobody else left to protect you. Because regardless of what you think, nobody loves so-called black woman more than the so-called black man. Nobody loves Eve more than Adam, despite all the differences. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall come unto us. So they think if they side with the white man, they're going to be protected. That when the white man handle his business against us as a people, that they're going to be protected and skipped over. For we have made lies our refuge. And who's the liar? The serpent. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. And under falsehood have we hid ourselves. Who's the falsehood? That represents a nation of people. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the serpent. You can't hide under the shadow, under the protection of Esau. Scriptures say he will not take pleasure in his goods. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? Verse 18, your covenant with death, Esau the white man in his system, shall be disannulled, meaning canceled. And your agreement with hell shall not stand. So Esau not going to honor his word. He's not going to protect you after he's done killing the so-called black man, the Israelite man. Whatever kind of agreement or deal y'all think y'all made, that's not going to stand. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, you should be trodden down by it. Well, what's that overflowing scourge? Well, let's get this real quick. That overflowing scourge, that's the enemy coming in like a flood. Key word, overflowing. Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, that's America, in his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. And what's the enemy coming in like a flood? Esau, Edom, ICE, killer drones, mechanical robot dogs. This nigga got satellite weapons. He got the UN troops. It's pretty much a military force made up of soldiers from every country. The National Guard, the six branches of the military, that's the enemy coming in like a flood. What ICE is doing now, along with the National Guard, that's nothing. The enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. So when the enemy come in like a flood, that's that overflowing scourge. It says you should be trodden down by it. When enemy come in like a flood, laying down the so-called black man, you women getting laid out too. But in fact, he might keep you alive and do something worse to you. Something that's going to make you wish you were dead. That's why the scripture in Revelation say they shall seek death but not find it. The misery that's coming to the earth, hey, people gonna be wishing that they were dead. Matter of fact, I'll do a separate lesson on it. But we gonna get this too. This is why Yahweh Shai said this to the woman, to the women, very straight to the point. But Yahweh Shai turning unto them and said, daughters of Jerusalem, the so-called black woman, this is Eve today. Weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. See that? Lord already knew man was going to be out the picture. The woman was going to be against the man. But all the effort and energy that the woman put, that the so-called black woman put in trying to separate from her man, the man of her nation, you dig in your own grave. Yahweh Shai knows that. That's why he said, weep for yourselves and for your children, you daughters of Jerusalem. So in the days, there's about to be a lot of weeping from Eve. And that's why Isaiah 32 said, you women that are at ease, be troubled. That's talking about Israelite women too. So yeah, she that is my enemy. Hey, that's dealing with the so-called black woman, the Israelite woman altogether. But this is part one. Part two will be soon. Lord willing, it was informative. And also too, you had a string of so-called black men being lynched, the past couple months. Now it's the white man who did it. That's a given. But what could be the reason? Could it be the same story? White supremacy, hatred that the whites have for the so-called black man? Or could it be that Eve went to the serpent to try to get the serpent to get rid of us? Now you gotta ask that question. Men being lynched and burned alive before being hung, all of their bones and their body being broken. You gotta ask the question. Could that have been a result of Eve going to the serpent? There's going to be a lot more Eve going into the serpent than a lot of our man put in the dirt. But what did Micah 7:10 say? She that is my enemy shall see it, shame shall cover her. Which said unto me, where is Yahweh Bashem Yahweh thy God? My eyes shall behold her. Now she shall be trodden down as the mire of the streets. So she's going to be trodden down next. Lynched, burnt, bones broken, everything else you can imagine. But and this don't apply to the women of the elect. That's why it's important to seek the Lord. But Lord willing, this is informative. Till next time, Shalom.